What if I told you that the very thing you're running from, the very thing you've been taught to avoid, the very thing you've been afraid of your whole life, is the one thing that can push you into greatness? What if I told you that failure is not your enemy, but your teacher, that it is not a wall, but a door, and that if you want to reach the life you dream of, you cannot run from failure. You must fall into it. You must fall forward. I stand here today not to tell you that life is easy, not to tell you that success comes with a straight path, but to tell you the truth. If you're waiting for perfection before you start, you'll never begin. If you're waiting for certainty before you move, you'll stand still forever. Because life doesn't hand you guarantees. Life hands you challenges. Life hands you setbacks. Life hands you moments where you feel like giving up. But hear me when I say this: every champion has scars. Every great success story is written with chapters of failure. And if you are afraid to fail, then you are afraid to live. Think about it. The most successful people in history, the ones whose names we remember, the ones who changed the world, they didn't succeed because they avoided failure. They succeeded because they refused to quit when they failed. They succeeded because they learned from every mistake. They adjusted, they grew, and they kept moving forward. That's what it means to fall forward. To fail in such a way that the failure becomes a stepping stone, not a tombstone. Too many people spend their lives running backward, trying to avoid mistakes, trying to play it safe. But safe will not give you your dream. Safe will not make you great. Safe will not bring out the best in you. Playing it safe is how people get to the end of their lives with regret in their hearts, because regret is heavier than failure. Regret is the weight of all the things you never tried, the chances you never took, the risks you never embraced. Regret whispers, "What if?" Failure shouts, "Try again." That's the difference. One keeps you stuck, the other moves you forward. I remember when I first started out in this business, people told me no more times than I could count. They said I wasn't right. They said I didn't have what it takes. They said someone else was better. Every door seemed to close. Every opportunity seemed to pass me by. But if I had let those no's define me, if I had let those rejections become the end of my story, you wouldn't be hearing my voice today. I learned to embrace the no's, to take the failure, to take the rejection and let it build me instead of break me. I learned that every rejection was just redirection. And that's what falling forward is all about. Listen to me. You will fail. You will make mistakes. You will fall flat on your face. That's a guarantee. But the question is not whether you will fall. The question is, will you fall backward or will you fall forward? Will you let failure bury you, or will you let it teach you? Will you let it make you bitter, or will you let it make you better? I see too many people waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until they feel ready, waiting until the fear goes away. But the fear doesn't go away. The fear is part of the journey. And if you wait until the fear disappears, you'll wait forever. You have to move in spite of the fear. You have to act even when your knees are shaking. You have to step out even when your voice trembles. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward despite fear. And every time you move forward, every time you push through, every time you fall and get back up, you become stronger. You become wiser. You become closer to the dream that's waiting for you. Some of you are sitting on dreams you've had for years. You've promised yourself a life that you haven't even started to pursue. And the reason? You're afraid you might fail. But let me tell you something. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. You can't have one without the other. The road to success is paved with mistakes, with lessons, with rejection, with nights you cry yourself to sleep, with mornings you don't feel like getting up. But if you push through all of that, on the other side is the life you were meant to live. Imagine if every time you failed, you chose to stand up again, to try again, to believe again. Imagine if instead of letting failure stop you, you let it push you. Imagine if instead of falling backward into doubt, excuses, and fear, you fell forward into growth, resilience, and strength. That's when failure becomes powerful. That's when failure becomes your ally. Think of a baby learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they trip over their own feet. But they don't stop trying. They don't sit down and say, "Walking isn't for me." No, they keep falling forward step by step until one day they are running. And that's the same way your dream works. You may fall, you may stumble, you may even crawl at times. But if you don't stop, if you keep moving forward, eventually you'll be running toward the very thing you were born to do. I want you to look at your life right now. Be honest with yourself. How many dreams have you buried because of fear? How many times have you told yourself, it's too late, or I'm not good enough, or what if I fail? How many promises have you broken to yourself because you didn't want to face the pain of rejection? You owe it to yourself to try. You owe it to yourself to fall forward, because failure is not final. The only way you truly fail is if you stop trying. There's a quote I love. If you're going to fall, fall forward. That means if you're going to make mistakes, make them moving toward your goal. If you're going to get knocked down chasing your dream. Don't let life push you backward. Don't let fear paralyze you. Move forward even if you're stumbling, even if you're uncertain, even if the road isn't clear. Because the act of moving forward is what separates those who live with regret from those who live with purpose. You see, the world doesn't reward those who never tried. The world rewards those who dared, those who risked, those who believed when nobody else did, those who were willing to be laughed at, doubted, rejected, and still kept going. And I promise you, if you keep going, if you keep falling forward, one day people will look at you and say, I always knew you could do it. But you'll know the truth. You'll know that you made it not because it was easy, but because you didn't quit when it was hard. So I ask you right now, what are you afraid of? What's the worst that can happen if you try? You fail. Good. That means you're alive. That means you're in the arena. That means you're doing something. The real tragedy is not failing. The real tragedy is never trying. The real tragedy is sitting on the sidelines of your own life, watching opportunities pass you by because you were too afraid to take a shot. Don't let fear steal your destiny. Don't let failure intimidate you. Use it. Learn from it. Grow through it. Embrace it. Fall forward every time. And when you look back years from now, you won't see a life of regret. You'll see a life of courage. You'll see a life of lessons. You'll see a life of resilience. You'll see a life you can be proud of. Because the truth is, greatness is not built in comfort. Greatness is not built in safety. Greatness is built in struggle. Greatness is built in failure. Greatness is built in falling forward again and again and again. And if you're willing to fall forward, then you're willing to succeed. So take the risk. Make the move. Chase the dream, and when you fall, and you will, fall forward.